What's up guys, Kool-Aid here. Welcome to another episode of Good Gun or Polished Turd. Today we are going to be covering the low zoom semi-auto sniper rifles. But before we get started, I do want to talk about a little bit of a change in format. Everything's pretty much going to stay the same, except now I'm actually going to rate all the weapons before their update and rate them all after their update. This will be just on a scale of 1 to 10, and the rating is going to be basically my opinion on how good these guns are in making you reach the maximum potential of the class that they are used for. The rating will be on a scale of 1 to 10, and just to give a few base examples for a reference point, for the Infiltrator, I would say the only guns that I have rated higher than a 9 are the Sirius and Blitz. I ultimately think those are the best two guns for the Infiltrator. I would rate the high-powered bolt action rifles right up there around a 9 as well. And since we did already cover the full auto scouts, I would have ranked them about a 5 pre-performance update 2 and probably a 6 after performance update 02. And the whole reason why I'm doing this rating system is because almost all the guns that I will be covering them were pretty decent guns. I have a really hard time calling guns terrible in this game. Not that there aren't some guns that I don't really like or that I wouldn't recommend using, but all of them have at least some little bit of a niche or niche, whatever you guys like to say. I know some of you made fun of me for saying niche. So that is why I'm using the ranking system instead of just going so black and white with Good Gun or Polished Turd. So like I said, we are going to be covering the low zoom semi-auto sniper rifles. That includes the KSR-35 for the TR, the Impetus for the NC, and the Phantom VA23 for the VS. Now the KSR-35 and the Impetus do share identical stats, and you're not going to see any KSR-35 gameplay from me today because I just simply do not have that rifle for my TR Infiltrator. But I do have both Impetus and Phantom gameplay. So if you're curious, TR guys, what exactly your semi-auto sniper rifle will look like when being used, just replace it with what you're seeing from the Impetus. They are exact mirrors of each other. Now, like I said, they do have differences with the Phantom, and they are slight but very important differences. The first one is the damage drop-off. First of all, the KSR-35 and the Impetus are going to have their maximum damage start to drop off at 10 meters. That's going to be 400 damage. The Phantom actually has its damage drop off at 8 meters. That's going to be 400 damage as well. Now that 2 meter difference there is not very big. That's not really the important part of this. The important part of this is that the KSR and the Impetus do reach its minimum damage of 334 at 75 meters. So that means these guns will always be a 3-hit kill to the body or a combination of 1 headshot and 1 body shot for the kill, barring your opponent using nanoweave armor. Now the Phantom, on the other hand, does not reach its minimum damage until 200 meters, but it does drop all the way down to 260. So you're going to start running into needing 4 hits to the body or harder combinations to basically get your kills. And I tested it out, and you really don't notice any of the difference until you get beyond 80 meters. At that point, you're probably going to want to try to land 2 headshots, which is not always easy. But the big bonus you are getting from the Phantom that the other guns do not have, of course, is that the Phantom has no bullet drop. And I found that to be incredibly useful with this gun, more so than the extra damage that you would be getting at longer ranges with the KSR and the Impetus. And that is actually why when I rank these guns pre-performance update 02, I actually ranked the Phantom a little bit higher. I put the KSR-35 and the Impetus at a solid 6, where I would rank the Phantom at a 6.5. Very slight differences, but they do make a difference out on the field. Now, to kind of explain where I came up with that rating of a 6 and 6.5, it's very similar to my scout rifle ratings. I don't really like these guns in close quarters. I actually think the scout rifle is probably better in close quarters. It should be. It's fully auto. The hip fire is better. And you're actually going to see me hip fire these semi-autos a little bit in close quarters, but for every kill that I got hip firing, I probably had 1 or 2 deaths trying to do the same thing. So I think the effective range of these guns starts, somewhere around 30 meters. You don't really want to use them too much in closer than that if you don't have to. But unlike the fully auto scout rifles, I think the range extends on these weapons a lot further. You can easily get kills out to 80 to 100 meters with these. You can even stretch it out to 120, 140 if you really have to, although I don't recommend that, and I don't think that's actually the sweet spot. I'd much rather be using a bolt action at those ranges, but when push comes to shove, you can actually snag some kills from there. Now you will see me using a suppressor in most, if not all, of these clips, and that's because of the ranges that I just talked about. I think a lot of the effective range on these weapons will be in the area where people will still see you pop up on a minimap if you're firing these unsuppressed, and that is ultimately why I have the Phantom rated a little bit higher than the Impetus and KSR. You're not going to have to worry about that bullet drop, which is more exaggerated while you're using the suppressor. The suppressor, however, does make it a little bit harder to use these weapons. They don't have the best bullet velocity to start with at only 500 meters per second. So putting the suppressor on does raise the skill level of these weapons a little if you can get used to it, and that's part of the reason why I never took it off no matter what I was doing, just because I didn't have to want to readjust to not using a suppressor. But if you can get used to using the suppressor, these guns can become incredibly deadly. And a lot of people will try to tell you that semi-autos are easier to use and more spammable than bolt actions, but if you think about it, bolt actions, you have to land one headshot, game over. In these, you can't just do that. They are more versatile, but you can't just land one headshot and that be the end of it. You have to land multiple headshots, or headshot and a body shot, whatever. And that's kind of the trade-off you get with having a spammable rifle. So let's talk about what actually changed with Performance Update 02. The first change is the reload times. The long reload improved from 3.6 to 3.3 seconds, and the short reload improved from 2.6 to 2.22 seconds. Now that's nice and all, but it's not really a big deal. You don't really find yourself getting caught in between reloads with these weapons, basically because you're not going to be doing 1v2s or 1v3s, and it only takes 3 to 4 shots to kill somebody, so with a 10-round magazine, that's not really a big deal. It's nice, but it doesn't matter too much. The big Mac Daddy improvement that Dispatch had on these weapons is that they removed scope sway or weapon sway while having low-powered optics equipped, and that includes anything 4x and below, which is anything you can equip on these weapons, and that is huge. That makes these guns much more viable at the ranges that they are intended. You can now just line up a perfect headshot without having to hit that space bar, or that shift key, sorry, and pop off a headshot. And with these guns, they will recenter to exactly where you had them pointed in the first time before you pull the trigger, so you can pop off 2 shots real quickly, get a double headshot or a headshot body shot, whatever, and that is just a huge improvement on these weapons. Enough to notch these up on my rating scale for a 7 for the KSR-35 and Impetus, and a 7.5 for the Phantom VA23. And again, the only reason I have the Phantom slightly higher than the Impetus and KSR is because I do love using suppressors on these, and at those ranges you just don't have to worry about bullet drop with the Phantom. But again, with that lack of scope sway now, you can actually extend the range on these where you might not really need a suppressor, and the Impetus and KSR-35 are going to be deadly as well, and you're going to get that extra damage from them. So overall, I love this change. This is going to be my new true middle ground between the bolt actions and the SMGs. The scout rifles are nice and all, but I like these so much better, and I actually do think they reward skill more so than these scout rifles. So if you have any difference of opinion, let me know. Again, these are just my opinions, guys. You guys could totally disagree or agree, and make sure to, correct me on any mistakes that I have made throughout this video, because I am known to do that from time to time. I am not a perfect human being, aside from my looks, of course. But other than that, just let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you have any suggestions. I guess my final verdict on these guns would definitely be a good gun. They were kind of teetering on the turd scale, good gun turd scale previous to this, but that lack of weapon sway really notches these up in my book. So anyways, guys, that is all I have. As always, thanks for watching, and I will talk to you all later.